is found in terms of sampling.
Well, I mean, there's nothing in there to be concerned with, and I think that's down to the staff that we've got doing the work. And so for that, Alison, we thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, so we're recommending to full council.
We recommend to full council. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
I was going to mention procurement exercise.
Yes, I can know that. Obviously, this is yes, we are looking at alternate providers and obviously ensuring we get best value for internal audit services. So yes,
okay.
for year commencing 1st of April 2024.
Right. Okay. Thank you. item 14 to review investment policy, page 153.
To speak about the chair, there's actually no substantive changes from the one adopted last year.
Right. So investment policy, do we recommend to full council? Agreed. Thank you. And procurement policy, page 157. Anything there?
No, Chair. Again, Chair, this is there's been no change since the policy adopted last year.
Right. So again, to recommend to full council. Agreed. Thank you. 15. To consider recommend input into the 24-25 budget preparation. Any comments from anyone?
Well, Chair, can I just like to say, this is your opportunity. Obviously, there is a couple of items on here that will affect next year's budget. But, I'd like members to consider any other future provision of services that perhaps have not just been discussed previously at other committees or within this committee. That they would like included in the draft 24-25 budget.
I mean, we're not basically a spending committee, are we? We don't spend very much.
Yeah.
It's other committees spend it. We try and stop it. No, we don't. Well, any views? I mean, have we got a view on what we're looking at for an increase in budget for next year? I mean, are we looking at something? In the percentage terms?
Have we got to be something sensible? Sorry? Got to be something sensible.
Well, yeah, too right. We had a big one last year, didn't we? Richard?
I was going to say, we've got our programme of things that we're going to be doing into next year. Sycamore Hall, Grass Cutting Services. And so we've got all of our events planned out. So, I wouldn't want to see an increase, but I'd want to stabilise what we're doing into next year and make sure that we're on target for everything before we start to plan anything else. So I would prefer to see the council itself complete some of its tasks. Still got the neighbourhood plan to finish off. The town deal board is coming along. And so that's me. I wouldn't want to see an increase, but a very small one if we have to.
Do we know in detail, or do we know what the other committees have come through with yet? Delia, go on.
Well, to be perfectly honest, not a massive amount. I think it's important that the budget is based on the delivery plan for next year, and the delivery plan will also rely on the budget. So one or other has got to be amended to fit. So our intention, Alison and I, is to produce a delivery plan that is based on the feedback we've had from the committees and an appropriate spending plan, and then it will be to be argued out. I think it is quite important that there is an increase in precept. I would always argue for an increase in precept, even if it's very small, because it's impossible to catch up if you don't even attempt to keep up with inflation. And last time we did an increase that was still below inflation, but which felt large. Having said that, we'd done a very significant increase the year before for reasons that we all know, and I'd hope that we could look at the delivery plan, the budget and the medium-term financial plan. To do something that all the council will buy into. But I think the great unknown is the Sycamore Buildings project, really. And that's what makes the budgeting and the medium and long-term financial planning more difficult, which Alice and I are doing some work on. But yeah, that's the challenge.
And we know there's a pressure elsewhere regarding more. No, there's pressures elsewhere on our budgets.
There are other pressures that we can't avoid.
Yeah.
And I do feel it's really important that this committee, which is the committee that does scrutinise the spending in the most detail, should bear in mind that we cannot keep doing more without it costing more. And, you know, the last community committee, there was went through the events programme, and the events programme is, you know, has increased, and I think we put forward they're putting forward a larger amount for events next year. And that's not to say that that's the wrong decision, but we can't increase every aspect of the budget. It's just not feasible. And it's a question of, you know, what does this community need most? And it will be interesting to see what comes back from the survey, which is going on at the moment, which we are receiving feedback from the investment service.
So at some stage, the expenditure, the requested expenditure from the committees will have to come through this committee, and then we make a recommendation to full council. So there's got to be sufficient time for us to be able to do that.
So
we've got to let everybody know that there's nothing for nothing in this world. You want something, you've got to pay for it. Yeah, you know, we like everything for free, but I'm afraid it don't happen. You know, so when people say, oh, we do that, it's not our money we're spending, it's taxpayers' money. So we've got to be fair, open and honest, say, well, we can't do that this year because, you know, some of these other plans, or whatever they are, if we can't do everything, then we can't do everything. You'd love to, but I'm confident you can't.
And that's the decision that councils need to make. It needs to be priorities. So just sort of coming back to the timetabling issue, we've asked everybody to put we've asked all the committees to put their feedback in. By the time of next full council, Alison and I will have had all that. We'll have produced the delivery plan based on what people have put forward and the draft budget, which will be considered on the 28th of November. And that will be reviewed. That will give another opportunity after that. That will be just a preliminary to show people. Then finance will need to meet again and review that before we go back to full council with the recommended version from the finance committee and the preset recommendation. I think any feedback that anybody on this committee can give us in terms of our preparations is very helpful.
For me, we haven't had a full discussion on Sycamore Hall, but I don't think that I will be in agreement with a phased project or a massively phased project. So I think in terms of seeing the costs or in planning for that maybe the council needs to see options of what it would be if the refurbishment works to Sycamore Hall were all done in one phase, as well as being split up into smaller phases, so that the rest of the councillors can make their decision.
We have asked for that, haven't we?
We have asked for that costing. Yeah. So we should have that by about the 21st of November. So it'll be there in time to feed into the 28th. We may get it soon.
Sorry, Richard, you'll come back again. Because we still have missed, haven't we? Sycamore Hall house. meeting?
We're going to try and fit that in, but the costings might not be available for that.
Yeah.
We'll still have the global figure,
Yeah,
but we won't be in a position to go in detail. But we may. We've also got this extraordinary council meeting on the 21st of November, and we've got that. So we're going to end up with 2 full councils week, one on the 21st of November and one on the 28th.
what's the one on 21st?
It's the one about the Brunel Centre brief, because that was the only time I could get a presentation. So, you know, it's possible we could put some other business on that agenda, because I know you're not here.
No.
And I would prefer that the budget and the Sycamore buildings went on to the 28th of January. Well, that's where they need to be, because that's what we've said we're going to do. That's the timetable we've published.
Yeah.
So we might squeeze in a meeting before that week, before the week of the 28th.
21st, before, yeah, that would be helpful, I think. Richard first, anyone?
So with all the other committees and all the other expectations from all the other different facets of what we're going to be trying to deliver as a council across all committees, whether it be community engagement, green energy, grass cutting services. There's going to be an expectation from all the committees to be able to deliver on our promises or on our programmes. So there's going to be a little bit of bite back from some of the committees in respect of trying to deliver everything we've tried to offer across the board to do with our strategic plan.
That's without employment and policy.
Yes. So
well, that will have happened. We'll have that feedback from that meeting, because that's on the 7th.
that's right.
So that will feed through into it. But of course we won't know, because we still don't know what this year's pay award is. So we have no way of speculating as to what next year's will be.
Yeah, so I think that sometimes you have to estimate or put a percentage on and above what you feel is going to be to come back on it, if you know what I mean. So say for instance, I said, spending for something that's going to be £20,000, you put another 10% on top of that, just in case, if you know what I mean. So you can estimate, because if we're not going to have the figures and drill down on some of the figures, we can't really put a budget together unless we actually.
We can use our discretion, can't we?
Yeah, of course, that's what I'm trying to say. But most, from what I'm trying to say is most of the committees and most of the plans that we've got as a council, most of the full councils don't want to see us being able to deliver on this and that.
Yeah, so I see that this committee is going to try and bring some realism
I think so.
to some of the aspirations that they want. Sorry, Ron.
Yeah. With the refurbishment of the Sycamore Hall and the other parts and the house, would we be allowed to use any 106 money for that?
Well, we don't hold anyone at
No,
but there is
potentially
potential to get some, but unfortunately there isn't a massive amount available to us at the moment, but there might be more coming, I don't know.
Well, you've got the Albert Street, haven't we? That's Albert Street development.
Well, if you recall, there was very, very limited Section 106 agreement for that development.
I'm aware of a certain amount of money. Yeah.
We've got the new houses on here being built,
which is likely to be ring fenced into new lease.
Yeah.
So what, sorry?
It's likely to be ring fenced and new lease.
Is it? Can they do that? Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm constantly thinking about this, and I'm thinking that, stabilising the council is what I said before, and all the projects that we're trying to deliver, especially the massive ones, the big ones, and stabilising it. So I would say that, if we are going to put the budget up by a little bit, then that's what we do. But stabilising all these other facets of all the other bits and pieces that we've got to do as a council, going back to all the committees that want to possibly have a budget of some sort, we might have to scale back on some of the stuff they want to do, because we know it's not going to be within the budget.
Well, I think that's the role, if I may, Chair, that's the role of this committee. That if you read the scheme of delegations and the remit of the different committees, the other committees prepare their wish list, send it to this committee, and it's this committee that then puts a recommendation together for full council to agree to. And, you know, we have to provide the information for councillors to make an informed decision. And we've tried doing it in different ways in previous years. And sometimes I felt the process has been too long because people lose track of it and lose heart with it.
That's what I was going to say.
So this year we've tried not to make it a too long a process, but we have got to have clarity about the council's priorities. And we've asked the committees and we've had some information which we can work on. But if I don't know what is in members. Well, we haven't got the tax base yet, so we don't know about that. We do know that we will be getting a grant this year. It's probably going to be the last year that the grant that we will get, well, in the form that it's in, because we know that next year, not the next financial year, the year after that, Milton Keynes Council is facing a bigger hole in its resources than it is next year. So my understanding is that we will get the parish grant, the mitigation grant, in the next financial year, created on similar terms to what we've had before. But there's no guarantee of that going forward. So that's something that we will need to be resilient enough to pick up.
Of course.
We'll prepare the budget in the way that we normally do. I mean, Alison's very diligent with the preparation of the budget. We've got some idea about the utilities. We can use particular percentages, particular parts of the budget that we think are prudent and realistic. The staff costs are difficult to predict. We got it wrong this year. But we did the best we could do, and we weren't we were by no means the only town and parish council who were unable to predict what would happen with theirs, and we still don't know.
But they are estimates. We mustn't be saying
they are all estimates.
The best shot at the time.
And that's why we've got to keep the reserves.
Yes.
And we have to be realistic about the estimates for the bigger project.
But the other thing, I think that there are some of the budgets that have been underspent year in, year out. And I think that we've got to take a serious look at those to see if we can come up with a more realistic figure. If they are not going to be spent again, we think, then I think we should adjust those. In other words, yes, we push up those where we got to, so reduce those where it's shown, and we can show
until such time
it's unlikely to be spent.
Yeah. Alice, can I just ask a question? Did we put in for a grant for the National Lottery? For the events?
Well, we put in the grant for the big street which we were awarded successfully, but there's no guarantee. So we received around about half the budget we got from National Lottery grant. We can apply again, yes, but there's absolutely no guarantee that we'll get it. So, you know, we can still work on the basis that we apply for grants, and if we get them, we do the events, and if we don't, we have to scale them back. We can do that, but there's no, I'm not suggesting that the big street should be scaled back, but there's no guarantee that we'll get these grants because there's less money out there at the moment.
That's the rationale behind the community officer now actually we're charging for stall holders to help fund these events rather than apply for external funding. So.
And we need to do a combination of both.
Okay.
I think I was at the community committee, and the discussion that we had was that there was that committee's view that we want to fund all of the events in full, and if we get any funding we will apply for grants, and if we get any grants, actually it reduces the cost to us. But we were not necessarily wanting to scale back the events. So just wanted to put that on.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyone got anything new to say? No? All right. So that gives us an idea of where we're thinking, I suppose. Okay. Thank you for that. Item 16. Scale of charges.
speak on this, Chair?
Please.
Obviously, this time last year, we reviewed the scale of charges, and it was agreed that we would increase the charges, but on the same kind of rationale as we increased the allotment rents, which was the CPI from the July figures. So I've done two scenarios. The first scenario, well, let me just summarise actually. No. So the first scenario is we increase all our charges by the CPI, which is, sorry, just bear with me, 6.8% from July last year. So our charges have increased 6.8%. But there's another proposal. When I looked at, when obviously we opted to tax the income arising from Fenny Stratford Community Centre and Newton Lees Pavilion. Now we knew that would have an effect on our income. I put some financial costs in there. Our forecast income for this financial year is down on both Newton Lees Pavilion and Fenny Stratford Community Centre by some 10%. Although it's actually could be more because actually the bookings themselves are a lot. They seem to be more, they're better than the previous year. So I think in effect, we've probably lost about 15-20% of our income overall. So I know there was some discussion when we reviewed charges and when we opted to tax that the committee would like to see what this effect was and whether there was any rationale behind actually trying to recover some of the VAT lost. So with that in mind, so I'm proposing that the charges for Fenny Stratford Community Centre and Newton Lees Pavilion are not only increased by 6.8% CPI, but an additional to round it up to 10% increase in the charges for those facilities alone.
Right. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Is it 20% the VAT?
Yeah, we lose effectively 20% of our income.
So our actual income is down.
Our actual income is down by about 10-11%, but it's not reflected, but our bookings have actually increased. So in effect, we have lost that to effect.
So at the moment we're charging, that's including VAT.
Yes, our charges all.
Whatever the gross charges, you have to deduct 20% of that. So that's where we're losing VAT. So as I understand it, we would need to put it up 10% more. So we're only losing 10% instead of 20%.
You could. It depends what the market will stand. Yeah. And this, I thought the view of this committee was that we would review it and perhaps incrementally try and bring back that money over a number of years, rather than just one hit.
That's right. It was. The other thing that worries me is that some of the organisations you say are not very financially secure. Excuse me. And they come to us and brought that to our attention.
We've had a couple of hirers that are struggling with numbers, I believe. I know one has terminated their contract. But on the other hand, at Fenny Stratford, we've got a completely new regular hirer, a national organisation. So
you lose one with one hand and with the other. I think the facility itself will sell itself all day long, and it's more busy than it used to be.
I don't necessarily know that we can all, I think what we're being told and what is the case are two different things. And I think that I think there are ebbs and flows with events that go on in buildings as well during the year. I personally don't see that people are really affecting their fitness at the moment in terms of what their costs are. And I think every time I drive past Newton Lees Pavilion, it is busy. So I am completely okay with the increase. In fact, the only concern that I have on the scale of charges was that we have not put up photocopying, but obviously we've never done it. And actually,
and very rarely do photocopying.
But even that, the energy costs of a photocopier have gone up, and I think that we should
increase that.
Well, I know it came out, I think last year it came out 11 pence. I thought that was a little Barbie figure in it. Can you imagine someone sort of saying, I want one copy?
My proposal is that we should put 5p on everything on the photocopying list. I know that we don't hardly do it, but that doesn't mean that we should make a loss if somebody, and I believe we actually do this because we need to have it if anyone requests anything under FOI or something like that. So.
We do have it on. That's one reason we have it on there in case we have to charge. If it's an FOI of like the sheets, I don't charge.
Yeah.
But if it's a lot of printing, then obviously we charge, and we have to have a rate of the charge.
I did have a look at the charges in the income on photocopying, which is, I mean, 5p on it, it's going to make about 10 quid difference in a year. But well, whatever.
You can put it up more if you like.
No,
I'm not bothered.
You're getting worse than I am. No, okay. I think it's sensible. We go from 10p to 15.
Yeah.
So
wherever it is. Anyway, yeah. We've got photocopying. Yeah, we've left it at 10p, so that could go to 15s. But
so the recommendation is the 10 pence will go up to 15, 20 to 25, and then 40 to 45.
Yeah. But I think on the bigger picture, let's move on to that.
Yeah.
Quickly move on. I mean, are we suggesting that we're recommending 10%?
It's fair.
Well, that's what I go for.
Chair, I'm just suggesting for Fenny Stratford and Newton Leeds.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah. But those two establishments.
Seconded. Seconded.
Yeah.
Seconded.
So 6.8% for all other charges apart from 10% for Fenny Stratford Community Centre. Million pence increase. 50% increase in photograph.
I know. It seems money grab.
Actually, when you read out the numbers, I was thinking, why don't we just round it to 20, 30?
Don't start that again now. No, Rob. Are we agreed on that principle? Yeah.
Thank you.
10% on those two establishments.
Just.
And the others. Right. Thank you. So does that go to council?
I think.
Go to budget, won't it?
It's going to budget, yeah. So then that will ultimately be approved by the council.
Yes, because it came up with budget last year, didn't it? That's right. No, it did come up with budget. We said no, the decision's already been made at finance. Yeah, we did.
What's the revenue on the? You can't make it because it's too big, isn't it? I know it's spending, not income. So you could make it. Sorry? The committee could make that.
So I think we can, can't we? So we'll make, that's our, we're not a recommendation, we have
making a decision.
We've decided.
Decided they will be
approved the scale. Approve the officer recommendation for scale charges with the addition of photocopy
for next year.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. There we go.
Right,
17. Fixing empty dog bins on the Newton Leeds estate. I'll throw his arm. I'm going to keep quiet now.
Oh yes. Right. I'll talk about this, Chair. Well, the clerk had to, well, there was a question of, there was many complaints about full dog poo bins on Newton Leeds, and a decision was made to, a delegated decision, to increase the emptying of 15 bins on Newton Leeds Pavilion to twice weekly instead of once weekly.
On a temporary basis. On
a temporary basis, yes. So obviously for this financial year, the financial effect will be an additional £1,300, just over £1,300 for the cost to the end of this financial year. So it's basically to ratify that decision. And I'd like to also, whether the committee would like to recommend this additional provision be provided in the 24-25 budget calculations, and that would be a cost of 2,500 at current rates.
Richard, Ethan, go on.
So this is not for, so this is a bit of a trial basis.
Yeah, well, the first, it was a delegated decision.
Right.
The cost of £1,300 at the end of the year, so that needs to be ratified.
So
we just couldn't manage. We just couldn't manage.
Yeah.
We were being inundated with complaints.
Yeah.
I think part of it might have been to do with the timing and the fact that there were other problems with bin collection elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So other types of rubbish were being put near the dog bins.
All right.
But it's been monitored. It has been being monitored, and Will is continuing to monitor it.
But we're only doing the dog bins, not picking up everybody else's rubbish.
No, just doing the dog bins.
Yeah.
But sometimes people put rubbish in the dog bins, can you believe
Yeah,
it?
of course. So I just want to understand how, if this is going to be for how long? Is it going to be for the whole of next year? Pardon?
Permanently.
It will form part of next year's budget application. I think we must ratify what has been done on our behalf. Delegated decision. Well, I think we should ratify that, but I think we need to say whether we wish that to be put forward into next year's budget or not.
I don't think we have to ratify it to the end of the financial year.
Right.
Yeah.
I think if the decision is that you don't think it's justifiable, then my understanding was that I took the delegated decision based on we had that level of service until such times as it could come to a committee and we could then give notice to the dog bin provider. But at the time, I was not content to sit by and see all the problems that there were and the bad press that we were getting and the change.
And I think we must support that decision.
Yeah. I just wanted to understand, since we've been doing the extra service, what's been the outcome of that? Has the complaints dropped off?
Yes, as I understand it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I just want to understand. Once we've done the extra service, has it not solved the problem, because it will never solve the problem, but has it lessened the amount of complaints that we've had? That's what I'm saying. So providing the extra service, it's lessened the amount of, so that's what I want to understand. And if that's the case, then we should continue, because it's needed.
So we're emptying dog bins more than we're emptying our bins at home. Ethan.
So I think I'd say that obviously Newton Lees is very different from other areas of the town and parish, and I think that the number of walks that we have and the amount of green space that we have, actually people do come here and they do get dogs. And I think that if we were actually to do analysis on the number of dogs per dwelling or for the per percentage of the amount of dwellings, there'd probably be more here. So I think it does need to have to be done twice a week. And we can of course monitor that, but I don't think that there is a perception from people in Newton Lees that they do not get the amount of services that other people get in other areas of a town or parish. And I think that I, for one, would not be wanting to take the empty dog bins or to have to make the office team put up with the frustrations on social media or phone calls or emails. So I just think it's, when we work out what the extra cost is, it's nothing at all.
Right, I'm going to take the vote in two parts. I'm sorry, Rod, go on.
You were saying that misuse of the bins. Now, at number 17 in Bletchley, I must have had 10 complaints about it overflowing. So I went down there and had a look, and there was a cake box in there. Right, someone's put the cake box in there. So I monitored it, and I found the person that was doing it. And I said to him, like, you realise that's a dog bin, there's dog poo in there. It was two young ladies, and they said, we thought they were rubbish bins. I said, no, because as Eastern European, they didn't really understand. And I explained to them, and that dog bin's never overflowed since.
Excellent work.
Then I had...
You're finding yourself a job counsellor.
then I had complaints, 2 bins in Leon Reg. And they said, the kids are taking it out and throwing it all over the floor. And I said, kids wouldn't touch it. I thought there's something drastic happening here. So I put a couple of, if I sit there, I'd be recognised. So I put a couple of spotters, and it turned out drug dealers were coming in, lifting it up, putting it underneath. The other lad was coming in, throwing them on the floor, taking his drugs away. And this went on for a few weeks. We was watching it, and we got the police involved, and it has stopped. So those bins that was overflowing and the rubbish on the floor, the bins weren't even full. And I had to walk through here tonight, and I thought, there's some dark places here. Is it people up to no good? Are they throwing it on the floor? What's in the bin?
No, they're definitely right. They're definitely full. They're overflowing. Sometimes can't close the lids. It is actually quite frustrating because you do think, why put more in it? But it's definitely. I don't think. Yeah, I'm struggling to kind of answer this.
Can we move on?
That's why I walk around with every bit problem. I never know what I have to pick up.
Really?
You're marigold. I'm going to take the vote in 2 parts.
Okay.
Firstly, to ratify the delegated decision. And the second one is to whether or not we recommend increasing our budget for next year. Right, first, ratify the decision. Yep, those in agreement. Yep, that's 100%. Those in favour of recommending the increase for budget increase for next year. Those that want it. 3, those against. 2, that's carried. 3-2.
We will continue to monitor, and it may be that it was a seasonal thing or something. We will continue to monitor it, but
Monitoring.
Is it still the case we spend more money on emptying dog bins than we do on youth services?
No.
Conversation's over. Can't have that on the record.
Right, item 19, done 18. To ratify the decision to renew the firewall licence at Newton East Provision.
Yes.
And Fenny Stratford. Ratify?
Yes.
Do you agree? Approve?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Right.
Is there a reason why we need to have it done?
yes,
Yes.
we have it.
The firewall licence was expired. This was the most cost-effective way to move forward with the licensing, to replace the access points and
To a system that didn't require an annual licence.
license. Yeah.
So, and I guess that this is something where that is ACS installed
Yes.
and Cloudy now, and it's
And now Cloudy have taken it over. And we did deliberate. We had quite a tight timescale for it, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And we did deliberate about it, and we called our contractors in for a meeting for them to explain it all to us from, A to Z. And we looked at any other way of doing it, and there was no way of making it any cheaper. And we felt we had no choice but to do it.
seems it'll be an upgrade in speed as well.
Right, item 20.
That's ratified. Yeah, the decision's been ratified.
Yeah, ratify. To approve the transfer of land to the north of Glenwood Grove to MKCC. This is for the Redway. Lead runs up.
Yeah.
Yep. Side of the playing field. To approve.
Yes.
Those in favour?
Approved.
Agreed. 21, to discuss councillor training requirements.
Yeah, Chair, I just
We
like
haven't got enough time for that, have we?
Spent it all.
I would just like to really remind members that obviously we have a budget for councillors for external training, not just in finance, council finances. That budget's always done. But also as RFO, I'm quite happy if you've got queries or need a bit of extra training on how to understand financial reports and the budget setting process or the precept, please pop into the office, call me, email me. I'm quite happy to have meetings during the day, or if it's more convenient for members, we can organise a Teams meeting in the evening. Just wanted to put that on record.
And from personal experience, it works a treat, because I've been in several times and she straightened me out. So it's helpful. Believe you me, it's helpful. So 21. Sorry? 22. Consider the exclusion of public the following items of business. Those in agreement? Yes?
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm done.
Just bear with me. Just explain why we're ending the streaming. Why we're excluding public waters to the next. Is it
proposed in accordance with the provisions of section 1(2) of the Public Bodies Act 1960, members of the public be excluded from the meeting by reason of the confidential nature of the business to be transacted.
Is it commercial sensitivity? Is that what it is?
This is because it may be prejudicial to the public interest to discuss this item in public because it concerns.
Confidential commercial information.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it, fine. So then, Chair, if that's all right with you, I will end the streaming.